So, is there any question in your mind that you are the creator of your own experience?
No.
Is there any question in your mind that the universe is yielding to you at all times all things that you want?
No.
Are you beginning to get the sense that it is a matter of you lining up with you? In other words, it is not about anyone else. It's just about the energy that is within you. It is your relationship with your own desire. That's why when we say the secret of the universe really is minding your own business, what we mean by that is don't get so involved in the desires or beliefs of others that you cause confusion or chatter in your own vibration and compromise your own alignment. When you let nothing be more significant than your own alignment with your own desire, then everything in the universe is working in concert for you. It is anyway, but you're not letting it in if you are misaligned. It has been exhilarating to visit with you here today. We've noticed that we literally did take thought beyond that which it has been before. We were sort of out there on the leading edge. Some call it the bleeding edge. There is appreciation here for your part in this co-creative experience because you are on the leading edge where the inspiration to the new desire is born. And while we are desirers on our own, the desire that is born within you is unique and new and fresh, and is, whether you accept it or not, the driving force of the universe. Because this universe, which is expansion-based, is attraction-based. So that which is your source that has knowledge cannot assert the expansion. Only you on the leading edge can identify it and draw it forth. You get how that works? And so when you identify it and summon it and allow what you've summoned to flow, you soar, and it is sweet. But when you summon, and by virtue of some past belief that doesn't match what you are now summoning, you don't allow, it's not so sweet for you, while it is always sweet for all that is. Your source desires that you relax and be more playful and feel more happy about your part, that you take more credit for what is happening and you feel more proud of the part you play. Your source desires that you feel responsibility for your own joyous experience, but that you not take that responsibility into the place ever of self-criticism, because you cannot get it wrong and you will never get it done. And without your perspective, universal expansion would not be. It's time for you to take credit for the important part you play and yield the good stuff to yourself by virtue of your own self-appreciation. If we were standing in your physical shoes, a day would not go by that we did not make a list of positive aspects of ourself and of those that are closest to us, that mean the most to us in terms of interaction. A day would not go by that we would not count our blessings and name them continually, expressing it in every way we could. For in that day-to-day, moment-to-moment, deliberate acknowledgement, you bring yourself in alignment with how you really feel about you. How you really feel about you is abject adoration. And if you ever feel anything less about you or about anyone, you're not you.
Hello. Thank you for making yourselves available. It seems to me that a practice of non-interference is both stated and implicit in the law of allowing. What can help guide us when we are legally and socially responsible for dealing with teenagers whose behaviors are in so many ways destructive to themselves and their family?
What was the word that you used? Non-what?
Non-interference.
Someone said to us one day, when they were talking about someone in trouble, that they really cared about and had a lot of concern about. And as we advised them, as you are hearing here today. And this mother said, but won't this person feel like I'm ignoring them? And we said, it isn't that you will withdraw your attention from them. In other words, we wouldn't say withdrawing from attention. We wouldn't even say non-interference. Interference sort of implies getting in somebody else's business. We're not asking you to withdraw your attention from them. We're asking you to get so good at painting a picture that is pleasing to you when you hold them as your object of attention that you act as a sort of satellite dish that beams in well-being on their behalf even when they're not able to do that. Non-interference sounds like, I wash my hands of you, or non-interference sounds like, you're on your own, I can't create in your reality, you are the creator of your own reality. Non-interference sounds like sort of giving up and leaving them on their own, where what we're encouraging is, we'll use the word for you, first time ever, but then that's the first anyone has used the word non-interference. We would use selective interference. Wouldn't you just love it if you were not loving yourself and someone interfered with that thought and loved you? Wouldn't you just love it if you were on a path of self-destruction and someone interfered and saw you as whole and well? So we're not encouraging a withdrawal. We're encouraging a withdrawal of negative amplification. While much of the world says tough love is necessary, which means let's fan the flames of the problem, what we're encouraging is soothing the flames. And we wouldn't call that non-interference. We'd call it selective interference. We'd call it uplifting interference. We'd call it source-like interference. You see, when someone gets disconnected from source by pinching it off, source never withdraws. Source continues to offer. But this is law of attraction, not law of assertion. And so something has to happen to make them begin to then allow. And that's where loving partners of the physical co-creation can come in. There's something very nice about, as we were talking earlier, imagine thinking you're sick or maybe even being sick and going to a physician who's scared to death of your illness, who gets the test back and all the color drains out of their face. And you can see them swallowing really hard as they come to talk to you. Not a soothing situation. On the other hand, how would it feel to be in the hands of a physician who understands the wellness capabilities of your body and doesn't let anything set him off balance? And so he's solid and sure and knowing that you can come back around to well-being. Which one would you want to assist you, you see? And it's the same way with a parent and a child. You're just wanting so much to see positive end results that you just do not allow yourself to be waylaid by anything that may be current reality.
So I guess there's an after question then. So if they believe that the end result that's desirable is different than the rest of the family, then what do you do?
For example?
In this case, my daughter thinks it's better for her to be living at her boyfriend's house than at home.
And you believe?
I believe that it's better for her to be living at home.
And why does she want to live there? Try to get in her head. She feels freer?
There's lots of reasons, yeah. Yeah, because it's a big family, and she comes from a family as a single child, and it's more fun there.
And you think she should live at home because? It's less fun?
No. Because, well, living where she is, she's not going to school. And she's not tending to the things that are what I perceive and what the family perceives to be what she should be tending to.
So if you were able to interfere and coerce her, let's just play that out. So she comes home, and how would that feel? She's there not wanting to be there.
I would just prefer her to want to be there.
But first step, so she's there, and she doesn't really want to be there. Mm-hmm. And she's going through the motions of things that somebody's making her do, but her heart's not in it. Has anybody gained anything?
A high school diploma.
Has anybody gained anything?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think in a lot of ways. I think it's important for her to be in school. I think it's important for her future.
Well, here's the thing. We don't disagree with you, and we certainly understand why you want what you want. And we're certain that most parents would wholeheartedly agree with you. But here's what we notice about you even, about everyone, is that when you do something because somebody else thinks you should do it, not because you want to do it, then it's just a matter of passing time and going through motions. And nothing much comes of it. In fact, as we see people here today who have vibrations from who knows where that are hindering them in their now, 99.99% of them are within them because somebody coerced them to do something, or because they believed that they should do something to please somebody else rather than themselves. And so they get their vibration all crossways. Let us see if we can put this in a way that you can really hear it. When anyone desires anything or focuses upon anything and there's no resistance, there is immediate result to this. So, for example, if your daughter was wanting a really good job and expected that she would get one, nothing in the world would stop that from happening. Diplomas, past experience. In other words, when someone really wants something and their vibration about it is pure and clear, the universe sets up the circumstance and events to accommodate that. It happens that way every single time. But let's say that someone has wanted something that she believed that she could not do, and she was doing what everybody else told her to do and not really doing what she wanted to do. So she, like almost everybody else, got all contradicted in her energy, and now she stands there with all of the diplomas, with all of the credentials, applying for something, but she's going this way in her energy. That's a far less satisfying situation to be in. We know it is not easy. Esther works very hard finding words to convey our sentiment as we want to find ways to get across to you that everything is about your individual vibrational utterance. And so as your daughter desires and allows, or as anyone desires and allows, things happen easily. When there is contradiction in energy, that's when things bog down. And there are so many people who have done so many things that they did not want to do. And what happens, there is this sentiment that we hear in the public forum that says something like, well, if you do the uncomfortable thing long enough, it will be comfortable. And what we've noticed about that is, if you do the uncomfortable thing long enough, you acclimate to the vibration of discomfort. But you do not get closer to that which ultimately was comfort. In other words, you just lower your standards of what comfort is, you see.
So then it's never okay to do the right thing for the wrong reasons, is what I'm hearing you say. But what about the social constraints?
We like those words. We would say something very powerful to you. We would say, it is not possible to do the right thing for the wrong reasons. We want to sort that out because it's very important. The right thing always feels good. The right thing always feels good.
So, one of the things that I'm not really sure in the whirlwind that's created around this is that I'm not always sure what she's asking for. I don't think she's always sure what she's asking for.
We agree with that.
And as a parent, though, how do we figure out how much to give them of what, or how much to allow them?
Here is what we are sure of. While you're not sure that she really knows what she wants, specifically, we are certain that she wants to guide her own life.
Right.
And we are certain that she wants to make good choices.
Right.
And we are certain that she wants to feel good in her choices. And we are certain that she would like you to feel good too. Mm-hmm. But she has not been able to find a way where she can feel good and be certain that you will feel good too. In other words, somebody has to give it up in her mind. So in her mind, what she's saying is, I can do it your way and I'll feel bad and make you happy. And what you're saying is, well, if you do it my way, I'll feel better, but you'll be unhappy. And ultimately, if she does it your way and she's not happy, you're not happy. And if she does it her way and you're not happy, she's not happy. In other words, It's like there's a no-win situation here, isn't there?